Today, I'll be ranking all 10 2022 Formula 1 driver lineups. Can George Russell boost Mercedes to number 1, or will another team claim that spot? My name is Chris, welcome back to CF Racing, and enjoy the video. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another CF Racing video. Today, I'll be ranking all 10 Formula 1 driver lineups in 2022 from number 10 to number 1. But first, if you guys are new here and you enjoy the content that I make, please go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe. The goal is to reach 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I can't do that without you guys. Like, I can make as many videos as possible, but without you guys, that won't be possible at all. Also, I did create a Discord for all you to join. Links will be in the description. Lastly, I'm sure you can tell, got my face cam today, and I want to say that this video is made in my opinion, so if you have a different ranking, then leave it down in the comment section down below. And with that being said, let's get into my 2022 driver lineup rankings. So now in number 10, I have Haas. And Haas has Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin as drivers for 2022. I mean, they had them for 2021 as well, but they really couldn't do anything because that car was just completely terrible. And they had literally no chance of barely making it out of Q3. I know Mick did it twice. He made it out of Q3, which is very impressive, but that car really shouldn't have been anywhere besides P19 and P20. And I mean, Mick and even Nikita in some circumstances did qualify higher than like last and second last. So they did a decent job. I don't think it's enough to actually like put them higher up in this list, because it is both drivers' second year in the sport, and they really just don't have that development feedback as maybe other drivers later on in this list will have, and they don't have the experience of Formula 1 as other drivers as well. So that's why I have Haas at number 10, but if we have a good season for maybe Mick or Nikita, and they stay for 2023, then I wouldn't be surprised if Haas move up to like P9, 8, or 7 on this list as well. Next up, in P9, I have Alfa Romeo, and this is, I would say, a little bit controversial because a lot of people have Williams down in P9, but right now I have Alfa Romeo in P9, and that's solely due to the fact that they have Guan Yu Zhou joining the team this year, and I do not think he's going to perform well. Like, if you saw my driver standings predictions, I think Guan Yu Zhou is going to finish P19 in the standings. Like, I think Mick will probably have a better season than him, and I wouldn't even be surprised if Mazepin might even have a better season than him. Mazepin and Guan Yu Zhou were very similar drivers in F2 back in 2020, and Mick did beat both of them in 2020. So, I mean, I have Alfa Romeo in P9 due to the fact that Guan Yu Zhou is kind of dropping that team down, but then again, he could have a very good season. We don't really know. I mean, a really good thing for this team is that they have Valtteri Bottas, but we haven't seen really much from Bottas in terms of overtaking. He's been in the best car since 2017, and whenever he gets stuck in the back of the grid or even behind midfield cars, he has trouble overtaking. So I just don't see him being able to make up the grid. I do think his qualifying will do him very well, and he might get into top 10 a couple times, maybe even. We're not sure, who knows, but I just see Alfa Romeo in P9. They are higher than Haas, but I don't see them higher than anybody else. In P8, I have Williams, and you could easily swap Alfa Romeo and Williams with each other, but I have Williams in P8 just due to the fact that I think Alexander Albon is very close or even almost on par with Valtteri Bottas, maybe a little behind, but then Nicholas Latifi, I would say, is a lot better than Guan Yu Zhou at the moment. He does have 2 years of F1 experience, so does Alex Albon. Both are going into the third year, actually, which is pretty cool. And we saw with George Russell and even Lando Norris that going into your third season, you really take a big step up in Formula 1. And I think both drivers are going to do very well for Williams. I think Latifi might have the upper hand on Albon in the start of the year, but then once the year goes on, Alexander Albon will probably surpass Latifi. Wouldn't be surprised if he beats him in qualifying. I mean, we know Latifi's not the best qualifier. I mean, neither is Albon. He got destroyed by Max, and Latifi got destroyed by Russell. But I think Albon really has something to prove in Formula 1, and I think this year will be a very good year for him. So that's why I have Williams in P8 over Alfa Romeo. They're two young, hungry drivers. Bottas, I know he's starting a new chapter in his career, but I just don't see him doing as well. So that's why I have Williams in P8, but you can easily swap them with Alfa Romeo in P9. In P7, I'm pretty sure this is where everybody has this driver lineup. I have Alpha Tauri in P7 with Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda. And once again, this is all because one driver is really sort of dragging the team down, and right now it is Yuki Tsunoda. We all know that Pierre Gasly is probably one of the best drivers on the grid right now. At least he is in that Alpha Tauri. When he was with Red Bull, he wasn't really as good, but I mean, that was his first time in a top team, so you can really cut him some slack, and it was like his third year in F1, so it wasn't that bad. But right now, I have Alpha Tauri in P7. So Pierre Gasly, great driver, like I said, but there is Yuki Tsunoda, who is really dragging the team down, and that really happened, and that really showed in the driver standings this year. Alpha Tauri had a car that probably on some, even most circumstances, could challenge McLaren and Ferrari for P3 in the constructor standings, and Gasly certainly had enough points for that. In qualifying, the car was definitely there, but in the race paces, they fell off a little bit. But Yuki Tsunoda wasn't even close. Like, there was times where Pierre Gasly was qualifying in the top 6 like he did every race, and Yuki Tsunoda was getting eliminated in Q1, which is not good at all. Like, you at least get like knocked out in Q2 or something. Like, he wasn't gelling with this car, and that Alpha Tauri, and in 2022, it is a make or break season for Yuki Tsunoda, so I do think he will perform better. I don't see him performing as good enough to put them ahead of the other 6 driver lineups, even if Pierre Gasly has the exact same season like he did in 2020 and in 2021. But that's why I have Alpha Tauri in P7. In P6, I have Aston Martin. And P6 and P5, in my opinion, can be swapped quite easily. But in P6, I have Aston Martin with Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll as their 2 drivers. We all know, given the right car, right circumstances, Sebastian Vettel arguably could be the best driver in F1. We saw that from literally 2009 all the way up to 2013. We saw it in 2017, 2018, but then he did fall off. Comparing Aston Martin to Alpha Tauri in P7, I think Seb and Pierre Gasly, I mean, they're sort of on the similar level right now. I think Gasly is performing a little bit higher, but Lance Stroll is definitely on a higher level than Yuki Tsunoda at the moment. So that's why I have Aston Martin ahead of Alpha Tauri in my driver pairing standings. But then again, if Yuki Tsunoda has a good year, and same with Pierre Gasly, you could definitely swap Alpha Tauri and Aston Martin. But then again, if Seb and Lance Stroll have a very good season, you can swap you can even put Aston Martin all the way up to like number 4, number 3 if we get like old Seb. And if we get like Lance from Turkey 2020, like all season, or even the first half of 2020, Aston Martin's got a very underrated driver lineup there. So right now, going into 2022, I have them at number 6, but they're a team to look out for this year. Let's just say that. In P5, in my driver lineup rankings, I have Alpine. And once again, like I said, with every other thing, by the end of the season, this is subject to change. Like, I think Aston Martin drivers probably have higher ceilings than Alpine drivers, but right now the Alpine drivers have definitely more consistency, and they are performing better than both of the Aston Martin drivers right now. Fernando Alonso gets the best out of every car that he's probably ever driven in his whole life, and Esteban Ocon is, I mean, he's very talented. He's a very talented young driver. He wouldn't be in the Mercedes driver program, or even, what is he, like managed by Toto Wolff, if they didn't think he had some potential. He won a race this year too as well. So Alpine is definitely a very good driver lineup. If they have a good car, I would not put it past them to even challenge for a constructor's title. Probably not win it, but I think Alonso could definitely challenge for a driver's title. Like, we saw it in from 2010 to 2013. Like, that Ferrari was nowhere near the best car in the grid, and Alonso took that dog of a Ferrari to, what, 2 title deciders in like 2010 and 2012. Alonso can definitely get the best out of that Alpine, and he's really bringing that team up in terms of peak performance. And same with Ocon as well. Like, on Ocon's day, he is a very, very good driver, like we saw in Hungary last year when he won that race. So Alpine, going into 2022, for me, is the 5th best driver lineup. For the 4th best driver lineup in Formula 1, I have McLaren. And this is because Daniel Ricciardo had quite a down season last year. If we had like 2020 Ricciardo, or even 2019 Ricciardo, along with this version of Lando Norris, yeah, we could have the argument that McLaren could have the best driver lineup in Formula 1. But just from what we saw last year, right now I'm currently not writing off Ricciardo. I think he's gonna have a good season, but just from what we've seen from last year, that's how you base these performances. I have McLaren in number 4. Lando Norris, he changed my opinion on him last year. Like going into 2021, I was thinking like, yeah, he could probably win a couple races, maybe challenge for a title. But now, I think Lando Norris is a future world champion. Like, I always liked the guy, I just didn't see enough from him. But now after 2021, I think he is a future world champion. Ricciardo, on the other hand, he had a decent season last year. Like, he won a race, that's one more than a lot of drivers last year, like it's more than Norris and all that, but he just didn't perform as consistently. And for Ricciardo, I really want to see him improve in qualifying pace this year. The qualifying pace is what really slowed him down last year. Like, there were so many times where he got knocked out in Q2 when Lando was like qualifying P4 or P5. So if Ricciardo can pull it back, McLaren can certainly be one of the best driver lineups next year. And if their car is good as well, I would not put it past them to challenge for both titles. But for now, I have McLaren in P4. For me, P3 in 2022, so the third best driver lineup is Red Bull. And I mean, even if you have like Verstappen and Yuki Tsunoda on this driver lineup, I would still put them in maybe third or fourth. That is just how good I think Max Verstappen is. And we saw that last year, like Sergio Perez, yeah, he had a down season, but it was his first season in a Red Bull, so that's understandable. But Max Verstappen took that car and finished 1-2 in every single race that he finished besides Hungary. He has the potential of like prime Lewis Hamilton, prime Michael Schumacher, prime Fernando Alonso, prime Sebastian Vettel, all of the best primes probably in the history of Formula One. Like Max Verstappen has the talent to, even if you even put like Max Verstappen and maybe even another driver, put like Carlos Sainz in that Red Bull, easy, by far the best driver lineup in Formula One. But the thing is, it's not just Max Verstappen. This is driver lineups. We need two drivers. And Sergio Perez, in my opinion right now, is sort of dropping down Red Bull on this list. And I mean, still third is very good. Having the third best driver lineup is incredible. And Sergio Perez is a great driver who can really help develop that car and just give him a lot of feedback on what to do. Like, he's been in a midfield team for so long. He even was at a top team at McLaren for like a year. So he knows what it takes to win, and he knows how to develop a car like that. All those Force Indias back in the day, they had like no funding or anything, and Sergio Perez was bringing that car into the podium in some circumstances, and he helped develop those cars at like P4 in the constructor standings, which is incredible behind like Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes. So Sergio Perez is no slouch, but there are two teams that I would say have by far the two best driver lineups. So that's why I can't put Red Bull any higher. But if Sergio Perez goes back to performing like he did in 2020, then, I mean, yeah, I would maybe put Red Bull at number one. We'll see. And for me, the second best driver lineup going into 2022 is going to be Mercedes. And a lot of people might not like this because they think George and Lewis are by far clear of Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc. But right now, this is going into 2022. This is not after 2022. This is not 2023. Right now, if it was Lewis and Bottas, they would be number 3. But it is Lewis and George. And I think George is better than Valtteri Bottas, okay? I think George is good. But it is his first year in a Mercedes. And we've seen Sergio Perez going to Red Bull, he struggled. Ricciardo going to McLaren, he struggled. Seb going to Aston Martin, he struggled. The only real driver that we saw didn't struggle was really Carlos Sainz struggle in going to Ferrari. And that Ferrari seems like it's quite an easy car to drive, to be fair. The partnership of Lewis Hamilton and George Russell certainly has the potential, and I mean, I think they're going to be amazing next year, but I think they have the potential to be the best driver lineup if George performs like he did, maybe even in, what was it, that Bahrain race last year. I think it was Sakir, I believe it was. But I just don't think George is as proven in the Mercedes. And granted, maybe after the first race, he'll completely prove me wrong and Mercedes will dominate next year. But just right now, going into the Mercedes, I just don't have 100% confidence that George Russell will perform up to 100% of his abilities like right away. And that's why I believe Mercedes is the second best driver lineup. I have no doubts with Lewis Hamilton. I think he'll perform, you know, like normal Lewis Hamilton, like top tier, like best of all time pretty much. But right now I have Mercedes at number 2, and that is just because there's two drivers at Ferrari who, in my opinion, are just performing maybe more consistently and better than how I think both Mercedes drivers will perform in 2022. So this is why I have Mercedes in 2022. But hey, if you want to make like a point proof essay proving me wrong in the comments down below why Mercedes does have the best driver lineup, I will not argue with you, because I think 1 and 2 are very close, and by the end of the season I think Mercedes will probably be number 1, but we'll have to see. So this is why I have Mercedes in number 2. And for me, in my opinion, just remember that the best driver lineup in 2021 has to go to Ferrari. Granted, I am a completely biased Ferrari fan, but I am not the only one, for the first time, who says that Ferrari has the best driver lineup in 2022. After the end of 2021, Ferrari had by far the best driver lineup, and now Mercedes have George Russell, which does bring them closer. But right now, both of the Ferrari drivers, including Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, have proven that they can both perform very well in a Ferrari and under the Ferrari pressure, and even at the top of the grid. Not like top of the grid like Verstappen and Hamilton were last year, but they were battling for podiums against Bottas and even Perez in some occasions last year, and that Ferrari was nowhere near the second or first or second best car on the grid, even third best at the time. Leclerc and Carlos Sainz are probably the most equal driver pairing on the grid as well, which when you're not battling for a constructor's title is very good. You want two drivers like that who can both get the maximum out of their car while not causing problems. It could cause problems this year if Ferrari does have a title challenging car, but I think that But for some reason, I don't know why, but I think that Ferrari will actually manage them quite well. I don't know how Mercedes will manage George and Lewis, but I think Leclerc and Sainz will probably be managed very well next season, and I do think that they will be the best driver lineup going into 2022. And, I mean, have you seen both the drivers? Like Leclerc, probably, in my opinion, the third most talented driver on the grid right now, just behind Lewis and Max. Carlos Sainz is right behind Leclerc. Like, I think he's on par with, like, Norris. I think, well, he's probably better than Norris. He's probably on even, Sainz might even be on par with Leclerc, who I think is right behind Verstappen and Hamilton. We have Lando Norris, who is, I mean, Carlos Sainz beat Lando Norris in both seasons, and everybody knows how highly the whole world rates Lando Norris. Pierre Gasly's up there as well. Like, it would not be crazy to say that Ferrari has 2 of the top 5 best drivers in Formula 1 on their team right now. So, with that being said, I think Ferrari has the best driver lineup. And if, once again, if you want to prove me wrong, type it in the comments down below. I'd be very happy to see what you guys think, because this is just my opinion. My opinion could be wrong, could be right. I just want to know what you guys think. So, guys, with that being said, that is my top 10 driver lineups going into 2022. For a recap, we have Aston P10, Alfa Romeo P9, Williams P8, Alpha Tauri P7, Aston Martin P6, Alpine P5, McLaren P4, Red Bull P3, Mercedes P2, and Ferrari in P1. Just before this video ends, guys, if you guys did enjoy this video, you know what to do. Hit that like button, subscribe, share with all your friends, join my Discord, link will be in the description. We have a bunch of fun with all these guys down there. We're doing an equal car championship on there as well, just for fun. And if you win, you get like a specific role on my Discord and stuff like that. It's quite cool. But now this video is wrapping up, so I'd like to say thank you all so much for watching this video and spending your time watching the CF Racing channel. And with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed and have a great day.